Hope y'all are having a awesome day. All right. Thank you so much for joining me. My name is Will Johnson. My website is uniteamericafirst.com. And all right, cool. I'm just making sure everything is working here. All right. Looks like we're good. Looks like we are good. What's going on? Okay, so we've been talking about this thing that's been happening in Ohio for days now, right? And the main thing is because you have it's like no one on the left was really thinking that this was serious. Well, there's finally Pete Buttigieg finally came out and said something about it. What do you think he said about it? What do you think? I'm going to share with you what Pete Buttigieg had to say about the train derailment in Ohio. So please hit the share button on this. Help me get this out because a lot of people will never know what Pete Buttigieg said about the train derailment. And everybody should know, right? We should all be privy to this information that's coming out. But before I play the video with Pete Buttigieg, I want to play this video for you first. And this video here is with Ted Cruz talking about this train derailment that took place in Ohio. Now, listen to this, and then I'm gonna share the video with Pete Buttigieg. Listen to this.
We need to hear answers. What happened in East Palestine is unacceptable. We should not have American cities that are lit on fire with a disaster, and for the residents there dealing with the health hazards that have come from this, that's unacceptable as well. And so my staff is in close consultation with the NTSB that is doing an investigation into the accident. I'm the ranking member on the Senate Commerce Committee that has jurisdiction, among other things, over transportation. And I got to say, Secretary Buttigieg has been nowhere to be found on this issue. It really is a remarkable thing that he hasn't gone to East Palestine to see what happened there. He hasn't come to Congress to explain what happened. For whatever reason, the secretary seems to fill his days with politics. I know he's got aspirations, but he actually has a day job. He has a job he's been appointed to do that is incredibly important, and we need serious leadership focused on why this derailment happened and what common sense steps can be taken to prevent it from happening again.
Yeah, exactly. What can be taking place? Something needs to take place. Something needs to happen, right? Now, to be fair, apparently train derailments happen all the time, every year. Now, I'm not a really big train guy. When I used to live in California, I used to ride the train, right? And we never had any train derailments actually there was one train derailment the entire time, about 5 years of me riding the train. There was one train derailment out of 5 years. Right, just one, and it was like the last car on the train, from what I remember. But it wasn't like every single day, it wasn't every year that the train expected to derail. But throughout the entire country, there are some train derailments that take place. Now, let me share this one. Like I said, here's Pete Buttigieg finally coming out and finally saying something. Right, he's finally coming out saying something. Now, listen to this with Pete Buttigieg about the train derailment, and listen how important it is for them to take charge and to help the people in Ohio with this whole this chemicals and stuff like that in the air, in the water. The fish are dying, the animals are dying. But listen how important it is to Pete Buttigieg.
Look, rail safety is something that has evolved a lot over the years, but there's clearly more that needs to be done because while this horrible situation has gotten a particularly high amount of attention.
Oh, it got a particularly high amount of attention, right? So if it didn't get, that much of attention, he wouldn't be saying anything about it at all if it didn't get any attention. But since it did get attention, he's having to say something about it.
There are roughly 1,000 cases a year of a train derailing.
Roughly 1,000 cases a year of a train derailment. But this one, since it got a lot of attention, he has to come out and say something about it. So basically, he's trying to say that, well, guess what? A lot of these trains they derail all year long anyway. So there's really no big deal for me to come out here and talk about it. So my question would be, if they have all of these derailments every year, is that not a problem? Shouldn't we think that this is a problem? Don't you all agree that this is a problem, that this is happening? Over 1,000 a year? That is a problem. Imagine if we could say, well, over 1,000 a year, plane crashes, it's no big deal. Just over 1,000 a year, no issue, nothing to pay attention to. They would be going crazy. People were going crazy. The airlines people wouldn't fly if it was 1,000 a year. Now, of course, some of these trains don't have passengers on them, but the problem is it has hazardous material on these trains. That's where the problem comes into play. Apparently, there was another train today with the same hazardous material. I can't remember exactly the location, but there was a train today, the same hazardous material, and they said that they didn't know if it was actually leaking or not. So I'm guessing that they're not going to do a controlled burn this time, right? They're not going to do a controlled burn. This was a controlled burn. They should have said something about it. They knew that it was happening, right? And I've always asked this question. If they know it's a controlled burn, they were getting ready to do this controlled burn, did they not ask the question about what would happen if we burn this? It just burn off? Did they not ask the experts? Did they not ask the people who put it on the train? Or maybe they did, and people that put it on the train say, yeah, burn it. And here of all places. Now, I started watching this movie, and I'm not trying to publicize any movies or anything, but a lot of people have been saying, Will, you need to watch White Noise. You need to watch White Noise. So I started watching it, and it's like 2 hours and something. It's pretty long, but it's kind of slow. It's a little interesting, but I haven't completely watched it. Well, the story is they released this movie last year, and it's about a chemical in the air in Ohio. I'm like, what are the odds in that? What are the odds? Maybe it's just a coincidence. I don't know. But one of the things that made me think about this whole issue in Ohio is the drinking water. The drinking water. Will you drink the water? Right? Pete Buttigieg, he won't travel there to assess the situation. If it was a natural disaster, he would be all over it. He would be all over it if it was a natural disaster. But because it's not a natural disaster, he's nowhere to be found. Now, listen to this gentleman here talking about drinking the water.
It reminds me of that scene in Erin Brockovich where she puts the water in front of them and says, if you think it's clean, we brought this water from, the community that was affected. Look, I think that if the EPA administrator wants to stand here and tell people that the tap water is safe, by all means, they should be willing to drink it. Yeah,
absolutely. Come drink it. Show us. Dip your cup and sip. Dip your cup and sip. I mean, really. Prove it to the people that it's okay to breathe the air. Show up. Prove it to the people that it's okay to drink the water. Show up. But for some reason, they're not showing up. It's like they're staying completely away from the area. They're staying completely away. Pete Buttigieg should be there. Where's Joe Biden? He should be there, right? If it was a natural disaster, and this has become beyond, a disaster, because it is completely a disaster. You have livestock dying, you have fish dying, you have birds dying, chickens dying. People are getting headaches, not feeling well, getting sick. To my understanding, I haven't heard of any deaths of people as of yet. Hopefully that never happens, but they're suspecting that people are going to end up with cancer and other complications. There's probably going to be lawsuits flying left and right, and they're going to remember this, and it makes something be affecting people a year from now. If it's killing the fish in the water, but they're telling you to drink it, and they expect everything to be okay.
Are you?
Now, you hear the news reporter. This news reporter right behind him, I don't know if y'all can see it there. It's down there to his right, our left, at the bottom of the screen, holding a microphone, putting it up. And I can't tell what that microphone is. Is it MSDNC? I can't tell. But anyways, the reporter asked him, is he going to drink the water?
Are you? No, I told Tom, I think that if I was living here, I would drink the bottled water for now. Better safe than sorry, especially since it's being provided for free. That's the guidance I would give it. Again, residents are going to make their own decisions on this, but my honest personal advice is I'd be drinking the bottled water right now.
Yeah. I would be drinking a bottle of water as well. And he's telling people, he's saying, hey, he's not there trying to do like a scare tactic or anything. He's telling people, hey, it's at your discretion. If you want to believe what the Biden regime has said, and you want to believe what the left is telling you, oh, it's safe, drink it. It's safe, drink it. Now, here's something now this is just kind of like an opinion. Look, strictly an opinion. I don't know. Is it possible? It's highly possible that they're doing this this happened in this location, right? I'm not saying they purposely derailed this train. I'm not saying that at all. I don't know how it happened. And a lot of people are asking the question, how did this happen? Did they hit a truck? I don't know. I haven't heard that report, because I think at this point, what's more important right now is to figure out, why did they set it to ablaze, these chemicals, and what are they going to do to fix it and help the people there? Because to my understanding, FEMA still hasn't shown up. Pete Buttigieg just said today, to my understanding, that this is a horrible situation. So is he calling in FEMA? Are they calling in Red Cross, Blue Shield? Are they calling them in? Are they calling these nonprofit organizations that's taking millions of their tax dollars in Ohio, right? People have paid tax dollars for these organizations to come in and help them when there's a disaster, but they're not even showing up. And again, I've heard other people kind of mention this, and I got to thinking, Ohio, when it comes to Democrats and Republicans, do you think that the Democrats would want the Republicans to, per se, make it through this? And do you understand what I'm telling you? Kind of like make it through this? Maybe if they, can do something about the population in that location, maybe they can change the outcome of something. I don't know. I'm just saying. I'm just throwing it out there. You tell me. Leave me a comment. Tell me what you think. Look at this one with Joe Biden. Joe Biden, complete nut job, total nut job. We all know that he's a nut job. He can't help being a nut job. That's just who he is. But he's asked questions. He's being asked various questions at a press conference, and just look how he responds to this. Look.
Sir, the question was it? There's been criticism. There's been criticism that this wasn't. There's been criticism that this.
Trying to compromise by your family's business relations.
Sir, Mr. President, there has been criticism.
Did you overreact?
Mr. President, there has been criticism that this was an overreaction that was done because of political pressure.
You come to my office and ask the question when they have more polite people.
Mr. President, why have you chosen Poland for your trip to mark anniversary of the war? And what's your message?
What are you speaking to President Xi, Mr. President?
Just like everything else, don't answer any questions. Just walk away. And he's been told to just walk away. Why is he not answering these questions, right? It's kind of frustrating, really, but it's not unexpected. But why is he not able to answer questions? If President Trump was in this situation, President Trump was there, he would answer all their questions, and he would hit back on them when the leftist media when they were bringing up all this fake stuff, right? They're basically attacking President Trump. Here in this case, all of the media is trying to ask these questions, and the same media that used to attack President Trump, now they're frustrated because Joe Biden is supposed to be on their side. They did all of the corruption to help Joe Biden get where he is. And now he's just shunning all of them. He won't answer the questions except for a few. You heard one guy, he said, you come to my office, but then we can talk. So now certain members of the press have direct access to Biden in his office. Was this the Oval Office? Certain members of the press, they can go in and ask questions. How is that not suppressing the press? What happened to freedom of the press? Why are they giving privileges to certain press members and not to others? Why is that happening? Okay, now, here's something I really want to share with you, and this is like really crazy to me. Have y'all ever heard the story about them wanting to change these? When you walk out on the street or you're driving around, they have these things in the street, and they're called manholes. Y'all know what I'm talking about? And a lot of times the construction workers will come, or city workers, what have you. They'll come and they'll block that little section off, and a man will go down in the hole, right? A manhole. Or sometimes a woman will go down in the manhole just to, work on whatever it is. If there's a woman in that job, in that position, not to say that women can't do that, right? There's many women do that type of job. But this right here, they try to say that you can't no longer say manhole because it's offensive. I mean, the women that are watching right now, you ladies right now that are watching, leave me a comment and tell me that you're offended. If you are offended that they call the hole in the street that people drive over, walk over, are you offended that they call that a manhole? I mean, I'm just out of curiosity. I want to know, are you offended by that? Because they call that a manhole. I think it would be more offensive that they change it to woman hole, right? I think that would be more offensive. But they're just calling it a manhole because men go down it, because typically women didn't used to do those dirty jobs. And there's still a lot of women that don't, right? And it's understandable. But would you be offended? Now listen to this, because now they're wanting to change it from where you can no longer say airmen. Right? They want to change it where you can no longer say airmen. This is a deliberate attack on words that are not even bad. These are not hateful words. Man, woman, boy, girl, husband, wife, daughter, son, dad, mom. These are not hateful words, but they're trying to change all of these definitions of words, just like they changed the definition of the recession. They changed it. They changed the definition of everything because they're getting offended. A very small group of people getting offended. Now listen to this.
On November 10th, 2021, the FAA held an inclusive language summit. Are you familiar with this effort?
I am familiar with it.
During the summit, which had a solicitation published in the Federal Register, Deputy Administrator Mims stated that when we use terms like airmen or unmanned aircraft, sorry, I'm laughing because this has to be a joke, we're sending a message that only men belong in the aerospace community. Do you agree with that statement?
Well, Senator, what I could say is that having been a pilot for 42 years and seeing the evolution of our aerospace industry, I started out in helicopters and have flown as a captain in big jetliners.
Sure.
Not everyone is a pilot today. We have drones, we have spacecraft, And so I do believe going to notices to air missions is absolutely the right thing to do. It is an accurate reflection of where our aerospace system is today. Fully supportive of that. And none of that, by the way, detracts from our mission, which is the safety of our airspace.
I mean, really? So it's been airmen for however long man was flying in the sky. It's been that ever since. Airmen. This, so are you offended as a woman? So they're wanting to they're wanting to change everything. And the whole thing behind this is that they feel that you as a woman, you should be offended because they're saying it's an airman. They think that you should be offended by this. And I don't think women are really offended. I think women have other issues that they really want to deal with other than what you call something. Oh my goodness, you call it an airman? That's so terrible. It's a manhole. That's so bad. It's so bad that you would say such a thing. How dare you call it airman? Well, here's another one. Here's another one where he's talking to the same gentleman. Mr. Vance is talking to the same guy, if you want to call him a gentleman. And he's asking him about the word wife. For those of you that are married, women that are married, do you have an issue with the word wife? I really want to know. I truly want to know. And I'm not just saying it because this is what they're talking about. I truly want to know, are you offended by the word wife? Because apparently they want to change that too. And for them to even have a discussion on Capitol Hill about the word wife and about changing something from airman to something else is absolutely ridiculous. They want to call it, unmanned, or they want to call it they don't even want you to say unmanned aircraft, right? They don't want you to say that either. They don't want you to say that either. Now, listen to this. Listen to this.
I'd ask unanimous consent to enter into the record the Drone Advisory Committee public ebook. I have it right here. This document uses the term wife as an example of the type of language that we need to eliminate. Is that something you support?
Now he's going to act like he didn't understand the question. He's acting like he didn't understand the question. He's going to have to repeat it for him because he's deflecting. Listen.
I'm sorry. Could you restate the question? I'm sorry, sir.
Yeah, I just said, so I'm asking unanimous consent, first of all, to enter this into the record, but it explains that wife, the word wife, is an example of the type of language that we need to eliminate. And I'm just asking if that's something you think is necessary or something you support.
I'd have to give that one some more thought.
Well, I would hope that the word wife is not something that or is something that we can all agree is a reasonable vocabulary word that most Americans use in their daily life. It's not something that we need to eliminate.
What? That's something I have to think about? Really? Really? It's something I have to think about? You know what? This also happened. Remember with Ketanji Brown Jackson? Remember she was nominated for the Supreme Court. And one of the questions that was, addressed to her or asked of her, what is a woman? And she's a woman herself, but because she didn't want to offend a small, extremely small group of people that's living a certain lifestyle in the country, she didn't want to offend these people. She says, I don't know. I am not a biologist. This is this is a woman that's sitting on the Supreme Court as of today, talking about the most ignorant people ever. Blatantly can't even go along with reality. A woman is a beautiful species. We as men really don't understand them. And I think that's part of the reason why we find them so fascinating. And they're such beautiful creatures, women, and they bear children. Only women do. And what's really interesting is they have this entire movement right now to try to convince the rest of the world that men can have children too, can bear children, which is completely against reality. And then they attack people for not believing this nonsense. It's really, really bizarre. And of course, I think it's all supposed to happen because of the days that we're in. We are truly in the last days. We really are. And a lot of people still going, well, no, I don't believe it. I don't believe it. I don't believe it. I don't think that we are. I don't believe it. It's just the way things are. A lot of people will never, ever believe it, even when it's all hitting the fan and just coming down. I refuse to believe it. This is just the way people are. When Noah was building the ark, and he was telling people, y'all need to get ready. And they were calling him crazy. They were saying, just calling him everything you can think of under the sun, saying this dude is a lunatic. He's off his rocker. I guess at that time, instead of a tinfoil hat, they were probably saying that he's wearing a wooden hat, right? Y'all get the metaphor. But the same thing is happening today. We all see it, people paying attention to what's actually happening. But many people are like, it's probably not really happening. Don't pay any attention to it. Don't pay any attention at all. Now, remember, I've talked about this next story that I want to share with you. And this is about the balloon in the sky again. Now, you remember when they originally came out, they said they detected it when it was over Alaska. That's the story I remember them coming out with. They first detected it when it was over Alaska. That's what they said. But then I've played the video where CBS and other news outlets are saying that they watched that balloon, fill it with air and take off from China. They've been watching it ever since. Now the Pentagon is coming out saying that they saw it take off, that they've been monitoring it, right? Everyone's like the Pentagon, the liberal media, they're all admitting that this thing took off from China. But then when it comes to Karine Jean-Pierre, for some reason, it's like she doesn't get the memo that she doesn't need to lie anymore about it. So instead of her just, talking, giving out the information when the reporter's asking, because they know that she lied from the get-go about it, right? She lied. And now that they caught her in the lie, she's really trying to deflect. Listen to this.
There's been some reporting about this, but it would be great to hear about it from you. When did the U.S. first begin tracking the balloon? Was it when it first took off from Hainan Island?
So that's a good question. I know that the Pentagon.
You hear this? So that's a good question. That's a good question. She lied when she relayed the information the first time.
So that's a good question. I know that the Pentagon has answered answered that before, actually laid out a timeline of when that all occurred. I don't have that in front of me to share with all of you, so I would point you to the Pentagon.
Just like everything else, I will point you to the Pentagon, right? I will point you to the Pentagon because now she's been caught in a lie because, I'm telling y'all, she was saying the same thing. Right? She was saying the same thing, that they detected it over Alaska. This was a spy balloon. And the reason why she doesn't want to answer the question, because it's going to go right back to Joe Biden. When did Joe Biden know? So she cannot sit here and admit that they knew about it taking off from China. Well, the Pentagon knew about it. So the Pentagon at some point had to tell Joe Biden. At some point they had to tell him. And if they did not tell the person in the White House that, hey, China's lifted this balloon up and is traveling towards Hawaii and now traveling towards Alaska, someone at the Pentagon did not do their jobs. But see, I'm subject to believe that those at the Pentagon, they told the Biden regime and they didn't do anything about it. Why? My personal opinion is because Joe Biden is owned and controlled by the CCP. He's owned and controlled by them. And if you ask me, my personal opinion again, they told Joe Biden, allow the balloon to travel across the United States of America. You owe us, Biden. You owe us. We just bought these hideous pictures from Hunter Biden. You owe us. We're here to collect. You need to allow this. And then China government came out and said that, well, the U.S. has been flying balloons over our country. 10 balloons is what they've been reporting. And if that was the case, do you think China would have actually allowed that to happen? I don't think so. They would have taken that as us being aggressive. They would have taken that as them attacking people. Okay, so where'd it go? That's not the right one. So I have another one that I want to share with you, and this one is really powerful here. And I guess I should have in this title I should have put this one all about women. That's what I should have put in here. I should have put this all about women tonight because let me tell you and be clear about something. I think women are a God's gift to man. Really, they are a gift. They are precious. We should honor them. We should respect them. We should, me personally, I have no issues putting women on a pedestal because they are God's gift to man. And if that's me wanting to say that women deserve all of the respect that we can give them, if that means I'm being sexist, then allow it. And I'm talking about actual factual women. I'm not talking about these women I'm not talking about these men. I saw a meme the other day where they were trying to say that if a man, a heterosexual straight man, doesn't want to date a man acting like a woman, then he should be penalized, or he should be, they're going to the point to where they're trying to say that he's being hateful and bigoted because a straight man won't date a man wearing a dress. That is like the dumbest thing ever, but in their minds, they have this mindset to push this stuff. Let me share this one with you. Now, women, like I said, women, they're so precious, so beautiful. They bear our children, right? I can't even imagine a planet without women in it. That would be hell. I'm telling you, if we woke up tomorrow and God decided to take all of the women off the planet, it would be literally hell. Right? Not for these that are, wanting to act and act like they'll be, oh yeah, this is so wonderful. But for the rest of us, it would be literal hell. I would not want to be here. Seriously, I'm not going to work. What's the point? Men go to work because they want to, for women. I'm telling you, I'm just being straight up. Okay. What about women? When is the prime time for women? When is it that a woman is in their prime? When is a woman in their prime? When? Right? Me personally, I think it's entirely up to the woman when she's in her prime, because, you know, some people develop quicker and some people develop slower. So I think it's entirely up to the woman. And I don't, and you know, I thought about that. I'm like, and I know they're trying to say in their prime, like when they're at the height peak of their, whatever their career or whatever it is, but does that include an age? Me personally, I wouldn't think so. Like I said, I think it's up to the individual person, the individual woman. But listen to Don Sourpuss Lemon, and he's sitting on a panel with two women, and they get upset when he talks about Nikki Haley. Oh, let me set this up before I get into this. Let me set this up before I get completely into this. So Nikki Haley, she put she put her name in the hat for the 2024 presidential election. She put her name in there. What Don Sourpuss Lemon is saying that Nikki Haley is out of her prime. He's saying this about her. But you notice he didn't say the same thing when it came to Hillary Rodham Clinton. And she was the crypt keeper when she was running in 2016. She was old then. He didn't say that about her. He's not saying that Kamala Harris is out of her prime. Look at her. Did he say that Elizabeth Warren was out of her prime? Did he say Mad Maxine Water is out of her prime? Did he say Diane Frankenstein is out of her prime? And no one's even seen Diane Frankenstein out of California. Is she even alive? I'm just asking the question. Right? He doesn't say anything about these women, and a lot of them have been there for a very long. What about Nancy Pelosi? Did he ever say Nancy Pelosi was out of her prime? But he's talking about Nikki Haley. Now, me personally, I like Nikki Haley, but I don't like the fact where she sided with the Democrats when it came to President Trump. She sided with the Democrats against President Trump. She did. It is what it is. Right. She made a mistake, and I think she owned up to it. I think she's, apologized for it, and she tried to apologize to President Trump for it. But my problem with that is that she, without her getting all of the facts and all of the information, she automatically jumped on the side of the Democrats. So we want someone to be president who's automatically going to jump on the side of the Democrats instead of saying, wait a minute, let's assess this. We need somebody like President Trump. Now, can she possibly work with him again? That'd be a decision of President Trump. I think she's still a strong woman. I just didn't like the fact that she automatically sided with the left when it came to President Trump. Now, listen to Don Sourpuss Lemon. This is hilarious because he puts his foot in his mouth and he realized what he did. Now, listen.
This whole talk about age makes me uncomfortable. I think it's the wrong road to go down. She says people, politicians or something are not in their prime. Nikki Haley isn't in her prime. Sorry. When a woman is considered to be in her prime in her 20s and 30s and maybe 40s.
What are you talking? Wait.
That's not according to me.
Prime for what?
It depends. I mean, it's just like prime. If you look it up, if you Google when is a woman in her prime, it'll say 20s, 30s, and 40s. I don't necessarily.
40s. Oh, I got another.
I'm not saying
decade.
I agree with that. So I think she has to be careful about saying that, politicians aren't in their prime.
You need to qualify. Are you talking about prime for childbearing, or are you talking about
the message
prime
I'm
for
just
being
saying
president?
What the facts are. Google it. Everybody at home. When is a woman in her prime? It says 20s, 30s, and 40s. And I'm just saying Nikki Haley should be careful about saying that politicians are not in their prime and they need to be in their prime when they serve, because she wouldn't be in her prime according to
Google
or whatever it is.
He's lying. So and you know what? I'm kicking myself again because when I went out there and looked it up, and I guess many people are looking it up right now, Google originally had it. And I'm kicking myself. Google originally had it. The first thing when you type that in, when is a woman in her prime? Google had it that a woman was in her prime between the ages of 30 and 38. That's what Google had. That's what they've had. And they've since changed it since then. Now they don't even have that listed up here. Now they're just showing you the top stories. That's not what I'm looking for. I want to know what Google had. Dadgummit, I knew I should have taken a screenshot. But there's still some other sites out here that are saying that the prime is between 30 and 38 for women. And it went on to say, Google, when they originally had it out there, they went on to say that it was for women, like in entertainment and politics and, just different stuff like that in the public eye, right? They were saying it for that. But me personally, the way I say it, women, they're in their prime when it's up to them. It's the individual woman. I find it highly offensive to say when a woman is in her prime and not in her prime. I really do, because women are individuals. Women learn and women can grow just like men. So when is the man is in his prime? And men, to be honest with you, I think men don't get in their prime until they get a lot older. Right? And I'm just saying, because men don't mature as quick as women do. Just to be honest here. If we're going to be honest here, men do not mature quicker than women. Women mature a lot quicker. A lot quicker. Why do you think the insurance is so high for men than it is for women? Because men, especially from the age of 16 to 25 and 30 even, the insurance is higher for the male than it is the female. So that brings me to another point. So if a man is pretending to be a woman, you understand what I'm saying? And if he goes to the insurance company and he gets insurance for his vehicle or, his vehicle, but he identifies as a woman, can he sue the insurance company because the insurance company is not complying with his feelings where I'm now a woman and I need to pay my insurance as if I'm a woman? Because there've been some of these men try to sue these doctors because the doctors won't treat the man as if he's a woman. They won't put him on the table and inspect him like they're a woman. It's pretty grotesque, but some of them get upset because they're not doing it. This is a completely disturbing, sick world. And things are getting crazier and crazier by the minute. It really is. It really is. It's like, how do you address all of it? I don't know that we can. So let me just say this. You need to get ready. You've got to prepare for what's coming, because these people are not going to let up. These people have evil tendencies in them, and they're not going to stop. Wow. Hey, Mickey, thank you so much for that super chat. I see you there on YouTube. Thank you so much. I really do appreciate it. And let me go over here. Let's see. Crystal, thank you so much for the stars, the Facebook stars. And thank you. Kona, thank you so much for the stars as well. I really do appreciate it. I see them as a blessing. And Joanne, Daryl, George, Mary, Timothy, Nancy, Doug, Deborah, Mary, Sandra. I'm just skipping through these. Paul, Mandy. Thank you so much for sharing my video on Facebook. Thank you so much. I really do appreciate it. It really means a lot. And thank you, everybody, for tuning in on Rumble. I see you over there. I really do appreciate you. All right, I'm going to get out of here. Thank you so much. Tomorrow is Friday. I will be taking your phone calls. So if you have something you want to talk about, most definitely give me a call. I will be taking your phone calls. I'll probably start them when I'm both on Facebook and YouTube, and then roll over to Rumble. So then that way, so people can ask questions that, triggering questions of the left, and then you don't have to worry about, anything else. But with that said, God bless everybody. See you on the flip side.